So several talking heads have picked up on this idea that Vice President and presidential hopeful Kamala Harris isn't or doesn't count as a black person because her Jamaican father, Donald Harris, was descended from the Irish Jamaican slaveholder Hamilton Brown. Do you know how messed up it is to say that to someone? No black person wants to be voluntarily descended from a white enslaver because that means that there is a clear instance of SA that you can point to in your family tree. Hi, I'm Angela Sutton. I'm a professor. I wrote a book on slavery, and my videos tend to talk about why slavery is at the heart of every bad thing in this world, including all this crap that they're saying about Kamala. So this book, A Dark Inheritance, lays out how racial ideology shaped sexual practices in Jamaica. And it's an awful read, right? Enslaved women were legally considered objects in the eyes of both American and Jamaican law. Enslavers like Brown could do with their objects whatever they wanted. Hamilton Brown enslaved 1,120 people in Jamaica, and he extracted every kind of work from them. Sex work is work, and he made it dangerous for them to refuse. Let me remind you, there's no such thing as a consensual relationship between an enslaved person and their enslaver. Asterisk, the only exception to this is when freed formerly enslaved people used their money to purchase their loved ones to keep them safe and under the same roof. That was pretty rare, and that is not what happened to Kamala's family. In order for consent to exist, you need to be 100% free to say no at any time in a process. Enslaved women were not free to say no when their white enslavers came knocking. And if these enslaved women had enslaved or free black husbands, that relationship was not honored because, again, people who were considered objects in the eyes of the law didn't have the right to get married. Enslavers often broke up families and sold husbands away from wives and children away from parents. It was part of the cruelty. It was an intentional approach to keep their chattel, their belongings, in line. Some enslavers even got enslaved women to pretend to welcome the SA in order to keep their children or their husbands safe. And because of the Pardis Act, which states that all children born of an enslaved person are automatically enslaved themselves, having the enslaver be your biological father, your sperm donor, wasn't even a great thing. In fact, many white wives wanted the children their husbands had with enslaved women to be sold away to remove these light-skinned reminders of their husbands' repugnant actions. Can you imagine creating a biological child and then selling it for profit? It happened in Jamaica and in the US all the time. Every famous enslaver did this. That's why most Black Americans with Black parents and grandparents have lighter skin than Black people in West Africa. In fact, Black Nashville poet Carolyn Randall Williams wrote a gut-wrenching essay about this called My Body is a Monument, in which she calls her skin grape-colored. Furthermore, the Pardis Act led to the one-drop rule. That meant that one drop of African blood made you Black. That means if you have a Black ancestor, you are Black. And up until the 1980s, when the last law that allowed racial discrimination in housing was struck, that mattered legally, since we had Jim Crow laws that dictated what Black people could and could not do. Kamala Harris's father was subject to those laws as a Black man. So yeah, maybe we can stop talking about Kamala's slaveholding ancestor as if it's some kind of gotcha moment, right? She knows exactly what that man was doing in her family tree. It's disgusting to keep throwing something like that in her face, and it doesn't make her any less Black than any other Black person with enslaved African ancestors anywhere in the Americas.